Hey everyone, thank you for joining me. So today I have the Spyderco SUBVERT. Now this blade was sent in by a supporter of the channel, so just wanted to say thank you for sending this out to get it customized. Just give you guys a really quick look of the SUBVERT before we get into it. Really interesting knife. I really love the blade shape on this thing. It's just gorgeous since it's got that big belly. And really quick, let's get the specs up on screen and we'll just dive right into it. So we have a drop point style blade with a slight recurve, as you guys can see. Got a full flat grind satin finish. The blade is made of CPM S30V, so you're getting a really good steel with this knife. You got the famous Spidey hole for deployment, and this blade is riding on bearings, which is really smooth. It's got a non-reversible, non-deep carry pocket clip. Unfortunately, not on the blade since I believe the screws are stripped, but that will be taken care of in the mod part of the video. It's got full titanium liners that are, you can see from the inside, they are milled just to make them a little bit lighter, which is a plus. And then in the back here we have the same material as the scales, a G10 backspacer. Now the ergos on this knife are really good. Do that neutral, very low profile choils, so it fits really well in hand. And this blade is fairly thick. I believe it's 3/4 of an inch, so it fills the hand very well, so you can get a really solid grip on this thing. And you got plenty of room, even if you have large hands. I think you're going to be okay holding on to this knife. And the deployment is very smooth. You can Spidey flick it, no problem. Effortless when you Spidey flick it, and then same with the thumb flick. And the drop shot on this is very good. In fact, it actually bit me while recording this video. So again, that drop shot action is very good. And I also think it's due to the fact that this blade is very heavy in the front. So yeah, that drop shot is insanely good. Now this knife was based off of Knathan Amour's, I hope I'm pronouncing that right, custom knives. I'll leave a link down to his Instagram page where you guys can check out his work. Just really beautiful stuff that he creates. So the customer actually wants me to base the mods that I'm going to be doing on this knife to Knathan Amour's custom knives. So I'll do my best to get it close to what he can create, which his work not only inspires me but motivates me to just get more creative and challenge myself further and further. So the changes I'm going to be doing to this blade are copper bolsters. So I'll go probably a third of the actual handles themselves with some copper. And then once I create those bolsters, I will create out of this maroon linen micarta, which I think will look really good with the copper. And the customer agreed as well. So this is what the rest of the handle will be, or the scales if you will. So I think it'll look really good together. And then I'll also be creating a copper backspacer and then a brand new custom copper pocket clip. So those are the changes I'll be doing to this blade. And now that we talked about it, let's take this thing apart and see what we have on the inside. Alright, so here it is all taken apart, or at least the best I could. This side was being a little stubborn since the screw is stripped, but I'll have to figure a way out how to get this out. And then the backspacer is actually really snug in there, but I'll be able to take that out no problem. But that's pretty much it. So now that it's all taken apart, let's get to customizing it. Alright, so here it is all customized. Now I gotta say before I dive into this that this was actually not only a really fun project, but it was pretty frustrating at times because some of the things didn't really line up. This is actually the second pocket clip I created since I messed up on the first one. So that was the most frustrating part about the build, but I did enjoy it the whole time I was doing it. I learned a lot. This was definitely my first bolster attempt. I've always wanted to try this. So again, just thank you to Serge for providing me with this mod or build, and then with the challenge as well. So again, very challenging but very fun. So let me just get into one of the challenges, which was the bolster. Now I'm trying to handle this very carefully since I don't want this really to tarnish, since you guys can see it's already starting to do its thing. So I just want to be really careful. But as you guys saw in the customization part of the video, I did drill a hole and then thread it. So this is actually threaded for the hardware itself, which locks the bolster in place onto the liner. So that was a challenge within itself, but it works. I'm really happy with it. And another, I guess it wasn't really scary, but I did have to decide where to put the hole for the screw to lock in the bolster. So this took quite a bit of time just to make sure I don't interfere with the weight reduction holes, and especially with the other side that has the liner lock. So this is the one I made the first hole on and then just copied it onto the other. But this was basically center of the bolster to where I could still contour everything. Since I did contour these, not only the scales, but the bolsters themselves. So you can see there. So I just tried to keep that in the highest point or center of the bolster, just so when I am sanding on it and creating that satin finish, I don't expose that hole, which would really suck. So I had to put that into consideration. And then I also countersunk the pocket clip area, so that way you get a better connection with the screws, or a tighter fit. And this was a challenge within itself too, because I had to go the right depth, not only on countersinking, but also the inset for the pocket clip. So there's a lot going on in this knife. The customer and I decided to hide the hardware for the pocket clip as well, which was another challenge in itself, but I prefer that look anyway, and it's cool that I can achieve that with copper. So you can see under here, drilled the holes, threaded, and then also hidden, since it doesn't go all the way through. So it's a really cool look. Can't wait to put this together and you guys can check it out and see how it looks complete. And then we have the back spacer. So this was fairly simple. Again, this is starting to tarnish as well, so I'm going to try to not touch it too much. And I will be using gloves when I'm putting this together. And I let the customer know that it might get to him tarnished, but he's okay with it since that is the look he's going for. And then I heat anodized just the two screws that hold the scales on, just a darker color, and just to have a completed look. And then what I really like about the linen micarta is that you get a nice kind of wood grain effect, which is really nice. Kind of makes it a classic look, but also with a modern material. So really happy that the customer decided on going with this maroon micarta. It just looks really good all put together. And speaking of all put together, let me assemble this so you guys can get a good look at it. And there is a benefit to the bolsters with the liners, and then the pocket clip being assembled through underneath. In the middle of the assembly video, I'll pause it and kind of break that down for you guys as well, just because there's a really cool advantage to it. So with that being said, let's get into it. Alright, so here's what I was talking about before I started assembling it. So what's nice is that the pocket clip stays with the scales. So when you're taking this apart to clean it or whatever, you really don't have to disassemble the pocket clip. Obviously, if the pocket clip gets damaged or, you know, the worst, then you can still disassemble it and go from there. Now, I did contour the scales, so I had to keep contact with the pocket clip on the far side of the flat part of the scale. I don't know if that makes any sense. Just so there is contact and it doesn't slip out of the pocket. So, and it's got surprisingly good retention, as you guys can hear. So really happy with that. I learned a lot making different kinds of pocket clips. So I think I found out the secret maybe to creating good tension for a pocket clip. And then also, as you guys can see, the bolsters are on right now onto the liners, which is really nice. Again, if you disassemble it, then you don't really have to get the bolsters off. You can get access to the bearings and all that and clean it up and assemble it and you're good to go. So that's just kind of what I wanted to share with you guys, and let's finish assembling it. Alright, so here it is all complete, and I gotta say, you guys, I'm really happy with this one. Again, just a really fun build and a fun mod, and took my time and just really happy with it. And feel free to let me know what you guys think down below. Always appreciate your guys' input. But there it is, the copper SUBVERT with the maroon linen micarta scales. The custom bolsters and that pocket clip with the hidden hardware is, I think it just looks so clean. I love that look personally on custom knives. I'm going to start doing that on most of my knives that I'm able to. But there it is with the recessed area, nice and flush. Bolsters are nice, again starting to patina already there, as you guys can see. That's why I'm wearing these gloves. Got the thumb grooves just to go with how the original design looks. That satin finish in the light on the bolsters. Just really happy with it. Now it's time to check the action, make sure it functions. The blade is perfectly centered. So let's give it a flick and see what happens. So these gloves are a little tricky, but the action is still very good. So very happy with it. The drop shut is insanely good. Just a little wiggle and that weight of the blade will actually drop shut. Now I barely removed material here for the frame lock, just so it doesn't guillotine shut like it did before. So you kind of have to give it just a hair of a wiggle, but then it still drops shut. It's just not as fast as it was before. And I discussed that with the customer just to make sure he was okay with it, and he is happy with it. So I will be posting this on my Instagram and then also be tagging Black Snow Customs, and hopefully if he sees it, I'm curious to see what he says. I'm just trying to get up to his level, so he is my motivation, my inspiration, so we'll see what he thinks of it. Again, if he has time to even say anything about it, but really happy with it. And I made sure, I quadruple checked that the finish where the bolster and the scale meet up is as best as I could do, where you can barely feel where they connect. So really happy with that as well. And then I also was considering just doing a flat connection between the bolster and the scale, but I was worried that when I tightened this screw down, it would actually lift up this section of the scale. So I actually created a swedge. Since the bolster is locked in, when you install the scale this way, it actually interlocks and forces it to go down when you tighten the screw. I saw this on a custom. I'm not sure exactly who does it. I'll have to check it out and see who does it. If I can find it, I'll put it up on screen. But I just thought that was a genius design, and I had to incorporate it in this one because I was worried that it would lift up. I mean, I can talk about this knife for days, but I'm going to try to keep this as short and simple. Again, thank you for the support. You guys are really, really awesome. And again, feel free to comment down below of what you guys think, how this turned out. What do you guys think of the material choices and what you guys would have chosen? I'm happy with this. I mean, there's a million ways about it, but I think this is just a really classic look and just very gentlemanly, especially with that copper. So, super happy with the outcome. I can't say that enough. Really, really enjoyed this build. One of my favorites so far, and I'm sure there's more to come, but I'd say this one is the winner so far. I'm going to take really good pictures of this and post it on my Instagram. So if you guys are following me, feel free to check out my Instagram and follow, support. It's always appreciated. Let's see how much weight we added to this thing, just out of curiosity. Now, the original weight was 6.21 ounces. So, let's see how much we added. I'm going to say 8 ounces. Okay, wow, so below 8 ounces. Really surprised on that one. So 6.21. So just a little over 1 ounce. So 1.2 something ounces. Not bad. So happy with that outcome, and I can't say thank you enough to you guys for supporting the channel and making it grow. Thank you, and as always, I will see you guys on the next one.